biohacking, performance, mastery, mindset, holistic health. This is a show about getting better every single day. I'm on a mission, guys, to help over 1 million people get healthy and lose weight. Why? Because when you lose weight and get healthy, you have higher self-esteem. You have more self-confidence. And that person goes out and crushes their goals and starts living the highest version of themselves, and then they have way more impact on the world. All right, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. This is exciting. Every Friday, I'm going to start doing like a little health hack kind of episode, and like it's going to be short. It's going to be like 5-10 minutes tops. I want to give you guys simple, easy hacks that you can do, maybe based on some research. And here's the thing, you can never hack your way into mastery. You can never hack your way into permanent weight loss. But what these hacks do is it starts the conversation, right? It starts the conversation about weight loss or whatever you're trying to achieve in life. And it starts the conversation. And when you start to stack these hacks or you start to build them, you start to build your library of information and you start to learn a lot of the ways that you can just improve your health. You learn one from one practitioner and you take one from another and take another from another. And the next thing you know, you've got a complete library. So today I want to talk about apple cider vinegar and like, is there any truth to that it actually helps with weight loss? And so I want to talk about the studies, the research, the data, right? Like, let's not talk about hyperbole. Let's not talk about we think this hack works. Let's talk about, really, does it work or not? And so here we go. Let's talk about the number one best apple cider vinegar habit for weight loss. Now, what studies have shown is that a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, guys, right here, a little apple cider vinegar, I'm holding it up. It contains negligible calories, right? There's like really no carbs, no fiber, no protein, just some trace minerals. And what's really cool is it has these different polyphenols. And we talked about polyphenols earlier this week, Wednesday, in the Weight Loss Wednesday show. I talked about the importance of polyphenols and how it can actually help you bump you into ketosis. We always talk about the antioxidants in polyphenols. And when you think of polyphenols, you're thinking of things like thyme, oregano, a lot of these plant extract compounds, right? And so these polyphenols, though, they have a way, I think we've misunderstood them. We always think of this antioxidant effect, but really they have this uncoupling effect that affects the mitochondria and really helps it really helps your body waste calories, create ketones in the body. And this uncoupling effect in the mitochondria helps, guess what? Build more mitochondria. And then all of this starts to help you actually lose the weight. So we see that apple cider vinegar, ACV, helps improve blood glucose control. It helps lower cholesterol levels. And this is going to help you promote weight loss, right? Which I think a lot of us are looking. There hasn't been any long-term, like large randomized control trials. So we don't know the like long-term effects or the impacts of blood glucose, but it does appear promising. Okay. So how can we start to do this? How can we start to consume apple cider vinegar? Like, what is the best way? Well, what they've seen is that consuming ACV at the start of a carb-rich meal, it actually might help blunt those blood glucose spikes. A small study of participants with normal insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, they consumed a beverage containing either 4 teaspoons of ACV or the placebo, which was 2 minutes before they were eating a buttered bagel with orange juice. And so in the hour following the meal, the ACV drinkers saw a 19 to 34% improvement in insulin sensitivity and reduced post-meal glucose and insulin, with the most significant effect in the insulin resistant group. So, hey, we know that a lot of these metabolic problems come from insulin resistance, weight loss, metabolic issues. That also leads downstream, as we saw in the pandemic. People were crushed if they were not able to maintain their metabolic health, right? We saw that. And so if this 19 to 34% improvement in blood glucose, I'd say that's a pretty good, that's a pretty good effect. So a similar study consisting of 4 different trials on vinegar's impact on blood glucose, it found that on average, just consuming 2 teaspoons of vinegar, either ACV or red raspberry vinegar, 2 minutes before a high carb meal helped curb post-meal glucose by 20% in people with and without diabetes. Now, there was no effect found when the vinegar was consumed 5 hours before the meal. So this kind of suggests that the proximity of the vinegar to the meal actually matters, right? They did another meta-analysis, which is interesting. 9 clinical trials. It involved 686 participants, and it concluded that, hey, regular consumption of ACV reduced total cholesterol, fasting blood glucose, and HbA1c, which we know that's a huge metric because it represents a 3-month time period of your average glucose levels in the blood. And so that's a really good metric that a lot of people will use for longevity, aging, and just see how is your blood glucose performing over time. Okay. And so now here's the thing. Researchers found that this glucose lowering effect, it wasn't significant in people with diabetes, and more research they figured was determined. I think, though, from that other trial, we saw 19 to 34% regulation in ACV. Here's the problem I will say with ACV that I have is there's a lot of people I know I get, emails and texts and, well, what about the gummies? What about the ACV gummies? Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, sure, I'm sure it helps a little bit, but I mean, it's a gummy, for crying out loud. I mean, just take the ACV. I know someone, I'm here on TikTok, I'm live, and they said your stomach burns, you have some joint pain. So, you're right. Hey, it's not for everybody. I mean, maybe you try the gummies. I just can't imagine that it's that great of a has that great of effect. I would just do the real thing. If you do have stomach pain and joint pain, maybe try some other glucose blunting effects, like Ceylon cinnamon is one that I like to use a lot. You could also try, there, of course, there's metformin, the drug, but I don't think we know enough. There's some studies suggesting there's a mitochondrial effect that has that. And actually, I was just listening to a podcast the other day talking about gut bacteria and the importance of that. And so there's a product, I believe it's called Pendulum, and it actually modulates your gut bacteria to help blunt blood glucose. So whoever's on TikTok that mentioned that, I see your comment, and maybe you would try something like that during meals, or maybe you would even try, there's a bitter melon extract. That's a great one. I'll be honest, berberine. If you look, I did a podcast with Sean Wells. We talked about the top 5 supplements. This guy knows his supplements in and out, guys. He is a supplement formulator. He's one of the most highly regarded supplement formulators. People seek him out from all the big companies. And I asked him, what are your top 5 supplements? And he said, hey, one of them was dehydrated berberine. So there's berberine, and then there's another form called dehydrated berberine. If you look on like Amazon or something, it'll say glucovantage. That's the same thing. So check that out. I mean, the studies show that it's just as effective as metformin. So if you can't use apple cider vinegar, then, try something like that. I mean, we know that when your blood glucose is going out of range, it starts to form glycation in the body. Your body is basically rusting from the inside. We don't want that. So, if you can use things like berberine, a natural polyphenol plant compound, like why not? And there's some also good stuff to show that it helps protect the liver. And the liver, as far as I'm concerned, is just, that's where I personally, when I help transform, I don't want to say I transform, when I help people go through weight loss programs or holistic functional nutritional stuff, even autoimmune, I always begin with the liver. I always begin with drainage and detox. And there's a lot of practitioners that I'm surrounded by, luckily enough, they do the same thing. And it's interesting. We're all kind of saying the same thing. So I always go to the liver. Berberine is a powerful plant polyphenol compound that helps with the liver. So try that on for size. And that was a great comment. I'm glad you brought that up. So how exactly might ACV improve glycemic control? Well, acetic acid appears to be the driver of these benefits, and it helps via a couple of potential mechanisms. Now, again, which is really cool. If you just read Dr. Gundry's book, The Keto Code, I talked about that on Wednesday, and I talked about, again, the polyphenols and what they're really doing to the mitochondria. And this is why it's working. This is why it's creating, and it's changing your gut bacteria. It suppresses this acetic acid that's found in ACV. It actually suppresses activity. These disaccharide enzymes in the small intestine that break down carbs into simpler sugars that can't be absorbed in the bloodstream. So this suppressed enzyme activity, what it does, it actually reduces the absorption of these carbs or these sugars, and it lessens the blood sugar spike. Huge. That's what we want, right? Especially after these high carb meals. The other thing is acetic acid. It appears to enhance glucose uptake in the bloodstream. So this is great. If we talk about the GLUT4 transporter receptor and how we can get glucose into the muscles, well, that's what it's doing. And it seems to be able to better do that. So that's huge because we rather have glucose going to the muscles instead of the fat cells, right? The other thing is it delays gastric emptying. Okay, so it that's kind of like the movement of your food out of the stomach and into the small intestine, and this is where glucose is absorbed. This delay slows down the breakdown of carbs and any kind of subsequent glucose absorption. Okay, so it's what it's doing is it's buffering these blood sugar elevations. Okay, um, sorry, I'm also trying to read some of these comments on on TikTok, and I'm live on like all the channels, YouTube and everything. So I'm trying to kind of catch up and read comments as I go. Is it what does this say? Sorry, I can't read your text. Will it get back with the? I'm not really sure what you're saying. But ask me that question again, Gary Simmons 75. Happy to help you. I just can't understand the text. So I'm going to keep going. Blood glucose control isn't the only way that ACV helps support metabolic health. Let's talk about what it does for blood, lipids, cholesterol too, high triglycerides. Okay. They saw that we know that HDL, I don't think it's the best measure a cholesterol, but it does help with high LDL, which again, I don't want to say that's the bad cholesterol, but we've seen that it promotes this plaque buildup. So you want to have that in some kind of balance range, right? What we've seen is that ACV helps reduce total cholesterol. Several animal studies have shown this. And what's really cool is that it's acetic acid. It has this ability to activate the enzyme AMPK, activated protein kinase. This is a powerful one. I think I might actually do a talk just on AMPK next week because it has such powerful effects on the mitochondria, cholesterol, fatty acid synthesis. Okay. ACV. Now, let's talk about weight loss because that's why many of you probably joined the live and that's why you're here. In a double-blind placebo-controlled study, 175 obese but otherwise healthy Japanese adults, they consumed 2 tablespoons of ACV diluted in water after meals. Each day, they lost an average of 4 pounds. And by the end of the 12-week study, those who consumed just 1 tablespoon dose lost an average of 2.6 pounds. So what's happening is researchers, what they think is that this weight loss is probably a result of reduced fatty acid synthesis and increased fatty acid oxidation triggered by the activation of AMPK. Guys, this goes back to my talk on Wednesday about the keto code and the polyphenols. This is what's happening. So it's not, it's fascinating what some of these compounds can do. And we just, I think we think like, oh, it's just an antioxidant river. It's so much more than that. So ACV also might help with some of the physiological consequences of being overweight, right? An animal study of obese rats, they were fed a high-fat diet of ACV, and they found that it helped suppress their obesity-induced oxidative stress. And this is a process that, we see a lot of cellular, I mentioned glycation, cellular damage. And so it also helps upregulate glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. And so we saw that diabetic rats actually consuming ACV, they experience an increase in antioxidant enzymes. So that's huge. I'm getting ready to kind of wrap this up. Here we go. Lastly, the last thing I'm going to kind of say is apple cider vinegar, the mother. It may contain several species of live bacteria, okay? We know that, obviously, these healthy probiotics, right? And these bacteria, they aren't well studied, so it's unclear, but they believe that these probiotics actually contribute to a meaningful health habits. And the benefits of the bacteria in ACV, they vary obviously from apples. So you just don't know. I think if you just get an organic brand, I mean, Bragg's is just very tried and true. So look for that. Here's how you can incorporate it in your life, right? How do we incorporate I think the easiest ways is just do a healthy salad, right? Or if you don't feel like adding that on your salad, buy something like Primal Kitchen. They're my favorite brand in terms of healthy salad dressings. And they have a green goddess dressing that's amazing. And that has ACV in it and avocado oil and 0 grams of sugar. So do something like that. You could also do a pre-meal beverage, like a little aperitif, a little tonic, right? ACV, 1 cup of water, warm or cold. You can put in a tea and you can drink this before your meals to help curb those post-meal blood sugar spikes. And if you're not a fan of the flavor, you can always get into some like creative sugar add-ins, right? Such as like lemon, cinnamon, ginger, all of these kind of things. Cayenne, this spicy kind of like ACV tonic, with ginger, cinnamon. So those are the ways you're going to incorporate it. I'm at the 15-minute mark, guys. I want to just cut it right now. If you need help and you need help and you're on a journey of either weight loss or health, I do one-on-one health coaching, and I have a fantastic weight loss program that we're seeing a lot of great results. People are losing 15 to 20 pounds in just 3 weeks. I don't do any kind of crash diets. We look at this from a holistic perspective. We get to the root cause of things, and that's why people get better. If you need my help, please shoot me a DM. You can DM me at Joel Evan Coaching on Instagram. You can shoot me a message here on TikTok. Or just email me. Send me an email, info@joelevancoaching.com. Guys, have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend and have some ACV as you go into your weekend and probably having a lot of yummy meals. I'm out. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye. How do I? Mm, there was a technical error and your recording wasn't saved. What? That's ridiculous. Technical error. Are you kidding me?